everybody.
Turn this up in my headphones, Charles.
You got it. Hello, everybody, one and all. Welcome to another very exciting episode of the Friends Talking Fantasy podcast. My name is Charles. With me, as always, is my lifelong friend and co-host, Dylan.
I'm ready to talk some fantasy with my friend, Charles.
I'm ready to talk some fantasy with my friend as well, Dylan. This is an exciting day. We're bringing back our trademarked Who Would Win fantasy character scenario generator.
Nailed it.
So for people that are new to this series, welcome. This is our second time doing this. What we've done is we've created a list of characters from all the series that we've buddy read so far, plus characters from popular culture. And we also created a list of different kinds of competitions, things like fist fights, foot races, tennis matches, elections, those kinds of things. And we're going to put them into our Who Would Win fantasy scenario generator. And it will come up with 2 characters and a competition. And then we're going to speculate on who would win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done this once before. We had a really good time doing that one. And, you know, Charles and I were clamoring for more. It isn't necessarily our most popular segment, Charles, but we do it for the love of the game.
For the love of the game. That's exactly right. And this is a game that we love, so we're just going to keep doing it. And, we'll keep it short. We'll keep it loose and fun. Put this out on a Friday, right? Just good vibes all around. Just speculating on some wacky, zany fantasy matchups.
Definitely zany, Charles.
Definitely zany. If you like what you heard today, go back and check out our other Who Would Win episode. That one had loads of laughs. And toss 5 stars to your podcast and find us on social media. Just Google Friends Talking Fantasy. Interact with us on social media. Download all the episodes, all that good stuff.
Yeah, definitely do all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for listening to this episode. We have a great time whenever we record these, and we feel like you will too.
We hope so anyway. Thank you so much for listening. And without further delay, shall we generate our first scenario?
We shall. I will be selecting the scenarios, and Charles, you will select the characters, correct?
Correct. So let's go ahead and run the machine. Let's run the generator.
I'm going to run the generator. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. All right,
Beep,
Charles,
boop, boop.
What we have here is an election.
And the 2 people running for this election are Gimli and Queen Calanthe.
Ooh. Yeah. So Gimli, everyone knows Gimli the dwarf from The Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. And then Queen Calanthe, probably a lot of folks know her too. The queen who's Ciri's grandmother in The Witcher.
That's right. So, I mean, instinctually, you want to give it to Queen Calanthe because she's already a ruler. So for whatever this election would be for any office, I feel like Queen Calanthe understands politics and leadership quite well. Gimli's a likable guy, very charismatic, really like get it done kind of attitude from Gimli, but I just don't think he can compete with an actual experienced politician like Queen Calanthe.
I feel the same, Charles. You know, I love Gimli as much as the next fan, but at the same time, I don't really see how he's going to be able to beat Queen Calanthe, who's a skilled politician. I will say Gimli could have a bit of that, like, you could grab a beer with him
for sure
type feel to him that sometimes gets you some votes.
Yeah,
But
if you wanted
all in
to,
all,
like, if you didn't just want another politician running for office, you wanted someone who's going to change things up. Maybe Gimli's your guy. I do like this matchup, though. What do you say about running just another scenario between Gimli and Queen Calanthe? I think these two are funny together.
okay.
I kind of like the idea of these two hanging out. But that one is just,
Sure, Charles.
let's run another scenario for Gimli and Queen Calanthe.
I'm doing it. Oh, Charles, we've got a rap battle between Gimli
now this
and Queen
is
Calanthe
more
here.
interesting. I feel like Queen Calanthe, not very musical. She's very practical.
No.
She's like a wartime queen, kind of. Not much mirth about Queen Calanthe. Whereas Gimli, he's been known to drop a few verses every once in a while. And he's from the Lord of the Rings series, which is big into poetry and music and songs and things like that. So I think I'm going to toss this one to Gimli.
Yeah, I feel the same way. As we noted in our last Who Would Win, all these songs come up in Lord of the Rings, but we don't know for sure that they weren't raps.
That's right. That's right.
Like, someone, you might have had Gandalf beatboxing in the background while Gimli was dropping a rhyme. And that's that's my headcanon anyway, Charles, for Lord of the Rings when I was
if there
reading
was
through
like
those songs.
And we were talking about if there was like a musical for Lord of the Rings, but like what if that musical was like Hamilton style? Where it's all kind of modern day hip hop music inspired for the tracks, that sounds like a Broadway smash to me.
Oh yeah, Charles, that's brilliant. Well, your twin brother Chris, I don't know, maybe he could produce something like that. He's a big Broadway guy.
For sure, he's in the know with all that Broadway stuff. I think he would get us connected with the right guys.
All right.
So there we go. One
for
each of them.
$1 billion idea.
$1 idea came out of it also. None of you go out and steal our idea for a Hamilton-inspired Lord of the Rings musical. Give us a chance.
We're due. Honestly, because there's, in reality, no way we actually would make anything like that happen. If someone could, definitely steal our idea.
Oh, well, I'm happy with that. Each one of them walked away with a victory. We got a $1 billion idea. Let's run the generator again.
Let's do it.
Here it goes. Beep, boop, beep, boop,
beep, boop, beep.
Boop, beep.
Beep.
All right.
Mini golf.
Mini golf. And competing in mini golf, we have Goku from Dragon Ball Z and Vachette. Vachette from the Kingkiller Chronicles.
Yes, the Adem mercenary from the Kingkiller Chronicle. Yeah, so, I mean, Vachette, we know, very athletic, good warrior, all those kind of things, but she doesn't really have any superpowers or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a tough matchup in just about anything physical or athletic with someone like Goku who has such a high power level.
But I would say, that perhaps having tons of strength might be a detriment for something as delicate as mini golf, because we've seen in episodes of Dragon Ball Z where Goku's like trying to pat someone on the back and ends up like sending them through a wall. Imagine him trying to like make a putt through like a spinning windmill. It'll probably just like go through the propeller, through the back end of the windmill, and off into orbit.
That's a great point, Charles. I think Vachette has great finesse where Goku, really strong and powerful, but as you're saying, such a bruiser that we don't know that he could do something as subtle as putt in mini golf. If this were a driving range, it'd be something else entirely, right?
Right.
But I don't know. You kind of have me thinking that Vachette might take this one.
I think so. And, Goku, if you're talking about his stat distribution, he's maxed out on strength and 0 at everything else, including things like intelligence and things like that. So to navigate a mini golf course, who knows? Could he even keep score? Can he do the math? I don't know. He's never been educated. So, That also could be Vachette could like fudge the numbers a little bit, and Goku would have no idea. She's
Well,
not historically mischievous, but I think just being able to control your strength in a small little putting green is enough for me to give Vachette the victory over
yeah,
Goku.
and I don't think Vachette would cheat. I don't think that's of the Lithani.
Yeah,
So I
it's not
think
the way.
she'd win it, yeah, fair and square over there.
Yeah, I am happy with that. Give it to Vachette.
All right,
Goku would
we're in
just
agreement.
smash it, and not be able to hit it with barely enough strength to get it down the green. So
And if you disagree with us, feel free to reach out. We're always willing to have more
if you think
conversations.
Goku could beat Vachette in a mini golf matchup, let us know. So for now,
Right.
we're going to move on to the next match.
We shall.
Bum,
Let's
bum,
run the
bum.
generator. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. All right, we've got a chess match here, Charles.
All right, and playing chess, we have Kelsier and Ellen Venture. Two
This is-
Mistborn characters.
There very well might be fan fiction out there of this exact thing happening, Charles. We maybe could do our research and come back, but early on, this is a tough matchup. I think for both of them. This is two people who I bet would be pretty good at chess, and for very different reasons.
For sure. And they're also two people so tightly bound together. I think even in the head game, I think Ellen Venture has always, because they're both leader figures in Mistborn. And
Yeah.
Ellen, I think, is trying to live up to the charisma of Kelsier,
yeah,
you know?
and we won't be spoiling anything.
Right,
but
spoiler free.
yeah.
But I will say that they both lead groups of people. And, Kelsier doesn't like Ellen because Ellen is from a noble family, and Ellen is kind of intimidated by Kelsier because he's so charismatic and people
Yeah.
naturally follow him, whereas Ellen is in a position as nobility of being a leader, and he doesn't feel like he's as successful as Kelsier. So the headspace is interesting when these two compete in anything, but this is a matchup of strategy, and I don't know, man. I don't think Kelsier was playing a lot of chess. Whereas Ellen Venture would probably be doing that kind of stuff, and with all his noble friends playing chess and learning how all the strategies and things like that. That seems like a luxury of the nobility in the Mistborn world.
Yeah, and to remind folks here, Kelsier, leader of a thieving crew, while Ellen, as Charles has said, his in leadership roles more through being a highborn noble of the Venture family.
Right.
And I think I'm kind of on the same page as you, Charles. I think Kelsier would have as much maybe natural ability to become good at chess, but I don't think he would really see the point of it. It's more of a academic exercise and strategy.
And Kelsier was always just like the hype guy and the charisma and the raw strength.
True.
And he kind of relied on other people in the crew, like the Dachshunds of the world, to. He's like, you guys will figure out the strategy, but I want to do the impossible, and I know we can do it, and I know you guys can help me do it. He was never the one to sit down and plot these kinds of things.
Well, he does. I think that Kelsier's a strategy guy, while Dachshund was a tactics guy, right? So that's a great. Tyrion differentiates between tactics and strategy in Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire, where it's like strategy is the big picture, and Kelsier was good at that kind of stuff, right? He'd get this idea. There's a really awesome scene where he's writing down all the things that they have to accomplish.
Yeah, I love that scene.
And that's very strategy. But when it came to the tactics, he was like, yeah, I don't know what that's gonna look like. And Dachshund definitely did a lot of the micro work there. So I think we're in agreement here that for a variety of reasons, Ellen's probably winning the chess match here.
Right. I'm sure if they played 100 games, it would be close. It also comes down to Kelsier would probably be really good at playing the head game. I think Ellen Venture, especially from Kelsier, would be very vulnerable to getting psyched out. I don't know how much psyching out someone is involved in chess compared to other sports, but that plays a factor. I don't think it plays enough of a factor for me to choose Kelsier over Ellen, but
That's
it
fair.
would be. I can see Kelsier talking some serious smack at the chess table.
Yeah,
to Ellen.
Ellen has very little in the way of guile, while Kelsier has a lot of those roguish, charismatic qualities that I think could put Ellen a little bit of a disadvantage in just the interpersonal exchanges. But end of the day, Ellen probably actually knows how to play chess and has experience if it exists in the world of Mistborn. So, all right, I think we're feeling good on that.
Ellen
That's a fun
Venture.
One. An
That
Ellen
is a fun
Kelsier
one.
Matchup is nice.
Yeah, that is a
Oh,
good
and
matchup.
a great idea for fan fiction if it isn't out there already. So
If you send
another
us your
idea
Kelsier Ellen
Yes.
Venture fan fiction,
Please.
especially the chess-related ones, that would be great. So
but
let's
not
pick
exclusively the chess-related ones.
Yeah.
Says Charles.
Right.
Let's hold on to a clean rating over here.
Absolutely. So let's do that again. The FTFpodcast@gmail.com. And All right.
All right. Let's crank out the generator again.
I'm reading the names I just generated. It's so funny. What's the scenario?
A duel with weapons.
A duel with weapons. And so we have at the table Saruman and Treebeard. Another very surprising matchup here of like these people would actually be pitted against each other, you know?
I mean, they were maybe not directly in a duel, but they were engaged in a large-scale combat.
Yeah, they were on opposite sides of a
together, right?
battle.
Yeah.
So let's see. What was the contest? It was a
duel with weapons.
So someone like Saruman, would he be able to use his magical abilities?
Yeah, he would.
Haha, I see.
Yeah, and I guess we probably should do explanations of who Saruman and Treebeard are, even though probably everyone listening already knows.
Keep it spoiler free. Even though everyone knows Lord of the Rings probably anyway, but let's just do it.
Treebeard is an ent, which is like a tree
talking, walking tree, basically.
And Saruman is a wizard, right?
Yes.
Do we need more than that?
I guess not. He's a wizard. He's got magical abilities. He's like the leader of the group of wizards in Lord of the Rings. So that's that. And they live right next door to each other, Treebeard and Saruman. So let's see. With weapons. Well, first of all, Saruman and Treebeard would probably both ignore the weapons. Like, maybe Treebeard would have a giant club or something, but to smash him with.
Don't think.
But Saruman is not about to pick up a sword. He'd keep his staff, and he would use his staff in battle. It's tough because if he can just draw upon fire, like the Lord of the Rings magic system is so soft, it's hard to see if Saruman could just point a staff at Treebeard and unleash a torrent of fire and just immediately destroy Treebeard or not.
I feel like he could.
I feel like he could.
There's got to be people who have read a lot more of the Legendarium and Silmarillion, like all these things. I would give them a lot more information than we have.
And I will also say, let's assume these characters are at their peak for this kind of a contest.
Yeah.
So Treebeard and Saruman are at full strength here. I would have to give it to Saruman just because
I'm with you.
But if you took away magic, right, and just said you each choose a weapon and fight gladiator style, and Saruman can't use magic, there's no way he's beating Treebeard. Treebeard would just crush him with his sheer mass and size. But
what's he gonna do? Smack this tree creature with his staff?
He's gonna start hacking away at him, and Treebeard's just gonna pick up this giant mace or morning star and just smush him like a bug.
Yeah. All right. Saruman it is. Definitely let us know if you're a big Lord of the Rings fan and know a lot more than us. Then tell us if you have other things to draw on here. But I think I'm ready to move on.
All right, let's do it. Beep, boop, beep.
Beep, boop, beep. Okay, so this is a fist fight now.
All right.
That means no weapons. This is why the other one said with weapons. No weapons, but powers are fair game.
All right. And we have Aragon from Lord of the Rings and Ari from the Kingkiller Chronicles.
You see, this is why we do the who would win, because it just comes like those other couple, they're like things that could have happened, like Saruman versus Treebeard and Kelsier versus Ellen Venture. But this is like very strange to imagine. Aragon from Lord of the Rings, a mostly human warrior. Is that fair to say, Charles?
Yeah, he's of the Dunedain, which are basically humans. So yeah, human.
Sure. And then Ari, who is a character in the Kingkiller Chronicle, who honestly is pretty shrouded in mystery, and I think I'm wondering how much we can even talk about Ari without spoilers here, Charles.
Right. We can say that. Can we say some of her abilities? I don't think that's a spoiler, is it?
I think that some stuff you'd have to have read through even Slow Regard of Silent Things. So you'd have to read like the two Kingkiller books and then Slow Regard to even know the extent to which she's maybe capable of doing them.
Okay. So obviously Aragon just has like Ari's like practically emaciated, right? She lives underground. Quoth is always trying to get her to eat food and stuff like that. So Aragon's obviously a trained warrior, highly skilled in combat. So a fist fight right away, like neither one of these two would ever want to fight each other. But if there's a situation where they would, Aragon has a lot going for him. But Ari can kind of, I don't know, she's got this mysticism about her that she can turn on and off. And we don't know a whole lot about what Ari's capable of.
Yeah.
And there seems to be mystery around exactly what her capabilities are that would make me think that in the right circumstances, Ari could use magical kind of, or like not necessarily weapons or fists, but she could have advantages to winning this fight against Aragon. I'm trying to dance around.
No, I think that
it doesn't
you're
feel
doing
like
the right.
It doesn't feel like spoilers to me, but I still don't want to say it. I mean, you're more familiar with Kingkiller than me.
I'm trying to be safe here. Let's just say those who have read everything Kingkiller, you know that there's some things that Ari may or may not be able to do, and I don't mean that like in a sketchy, vague way. I mean that in a like, even if you have read everything, you're like, can she do X? Can she do Y?
Right.
So I think no matter how much Kingkiller you've read, you're not feeling very confident that Ari definitely wins this one. I think you're thinking maybe Ari has powers that could give her a shot here to beat Aragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what this comes down to here is whether or not she has that extended powers. And we just don't have that information no matter how much Kingkiller you've read, I feel. So I think I'll default. I mean, we are calling it a fist fight, and it's hard to say like Ari's winning this
right.
fist
fight. If we throw any
against
potential
Aragon,
magic out the window, Aragon would pummel Ari into the gravel.
It's actually hard to picture.
It would be very brutal, actually.
Yeah.
She's such a sweet little girl, and she's also like super skinny and stuff like that. So for Aragon to just walk up and start, Aragon, this like paragon of virtue, to go up to this little girl and start beating her up is kind of extreme. But
please do not send us any fan fiction of that.
Yeah, keep that fan fiction at home. Forget our email. But it would be interesting to see under what circumstance they would enter a fist fight.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're trying to test Ari's powers and Aragon's like, all right, I'm going to put you in an extreme circumstance. Let's see what you can do. Maybe that would be one of the few possibilities they would ever fight each other. So that's that. Let's get another one going, eh?
Let's beep, boop, beep, boop.
Beep, boop,
It's a
beep.
tennis match.
Oh gosh, back again is the tennis matchup, and we have Pippin versus Alton. Pippin, one of the hobbits, one of the more mischievous comic relief hobbits from Lord of the Rings, and Alton, a commander of the Psyche, a shaman who can draw on the powers of the Phoenix God to wield fire as a weapon from the Poppy War series.
Nice.
I feel like hobbits would be terrible at tennis. They're just too small.
Yeah, so speaking as a tennis player myself,
Okay.
I can say that height is important, especially for the serve. Like, you imagine Pippin standing all the way back there at the baseline, trying to get a serve over a net that's probably higher than he is. It's hard to feel like he's got much of a shot against someone as athletic as Alton. I think that Alton would destroy
Yeah,
Pippin.
and they don't
I
make
think
tennis
it's not even
shoes
close.
that are hobbit size, so
Well, he probably would just go barefoot.
well, so Alton will have that advantage in footwear and things like that. So Alton,
back in the wooden racket days, though,
Mhm.
Alton might have been in trouble because
That's right.
the whole fire
he'd have to
thing.
control his fire powers,
Yeah,
but he doesn't really have to use fire powers in a tennis match, and he's pretty strong without them anyway. He's
Yeah.
a pretty athletic guy, so yeah, you gotta give it to Alton on this one for sure.
sorry, Pippin.
Sorry, Pip.
I mean, again, let us know if something in the Legendarium says Pippin has super tennis abilities, but I'm feeling pretty good on Alton.
Highly
as the
doubt
winner.
it. Shall we move
right.
it along?
Let's move it along.
Beep, boop, beep.
Beep, boop, beep, boop. It's a race.
It's a race, and who's back in the race but Geralt of Rivia? We remember last time we had a foot race between Geralt and Treebeard, and this time it's Geralt versus Tempe from the Kingkiller Chronicles.
So they're both, one way or another, basically mercenaries. Tempe is a mercenary, and also Adem, mercenary, much like Vachette, in the Kingkiller Chronicle. And Geralt, a witcher, hunts monsters. There is a moment where Geralt gets challenged to a race. I know now, having read The Last Wish, and he does not seem particularly enthused about
He is
that
pretty
idea,
race
Charles.
averse. It's true. That's
Yeah.
canon. That's Witcher canon.
Yeah. So it's hard not to think, hey, maybe Geralt's not as fast as he lets on.
However, it's also Kingkiller canon that Tempe's not that great, right? His abilities aren't particularly exciting. He's
Not by Adem standards.
That's true,
I
but by
think is
Witcher
the-
standards
but by-
and by warrior standards, Geralt is pretty darn famous in
That's
the
true.
world of The Witcher, and he's an accomplished fighter in combat, and Witchers have enhanced physical abilities, whereas in Kingkiller Chronicles, none of the Adem have enhanced physical abilities beyond human capabilities. So, even though Geralt did refuse that race with the Diavel, and that does raise concerns about his racing capabilities, I still feel like his physical prowess and his notoriety makes me feel confident I would back that horse in a race for sure. Whereas Tempe, no one really likes Tempe amongst his own people. Doesn't really do anything super impressive, and certainly doesn't demonstrate any feats of speed. I
think he's quick and agile
He is.
when he gets into fights,
Right.
but that's not necessarily the same as being fast in a sprint, which is what I imagine when we're saying race.
Mhm.
And I think I'm with you about this Geralt stuff. I do see Geralt as the kind of person who just like gets the job done.
And there's
that he
this is a
needs to get
clean
done.
race. There's no performance enhancing potions allowed in this race, which I know Geralt has access to. No magic, no potions. It's pure feats of strength, Olympic style.
Mhm.
I'm happy.
Well, I think you could go either way if you really.
I'm feeling
wanted to
really
make a
strongly
case,
about
but
Geralt.
Wow, really strong.
Yeah.
I'm leaning Geralt, which I guess means we're decided.
We're decided. I think we have time for another one or two.
Sure, let's feel it out.
Let's feel it out. Let's do one more, see how it goes. Beep,
All
boop,
right.
beep.
Beep, boop, beep. It's trivia?
Trivia. All right.
Did you add this, Charles, or did I?
I don't remember who put in trivia, but it's a trivia contest between Lord Ashwater Chet, and Lord Ashwater Chet is from Mistborn, and Faramir from Lord of the Rings. Interesting matchup.
Yeah. So Chet
Actually, a very interesting matchup. They're both kind of B tier leaders, but are also super like highly capable, like black horse underdog kind of leaders. Like they know more than they let on. They're capable of more than they let on, and
that's fair.
They're alike in a lot of ways that I'm only just now thinking about through the magic of the Who Would Win fantasy character scenario generator TM.
I think that much like in the rap battle situation, it's hard not to feel like Lord of the Rings characters just have a huge advantage in trivia as well, because there's just so much that each character seems to know because J.R.R. Tolkien crafted them and did so much work to flesh out his world, where it's like, Faramir, you start talking to him, he can start dropping all this information about all these different places and all these different people in the past. There's just so much to know, and so many of J.R.R. Tolkien's characters seem to know so much when it comes to Middle-earth, while it's like Brandon Sanderson seems to be a little bit more like, all right, I'll flesh out everything I need to flesh out to tell this story, but other than that, just going to give you here's Mistborn. And I just don't think there's as much to know for Chet.
Yeah, and I feel like in the world of Mistborn, it's pretty dark and grim and dismal over there. They're not really like reading up on trivia and things like that. They're just trying to survive over there. Whereas, Faramir's from royalty and he's been educated his whole life. And, there's definitely canon moments where they're growing up and Boromir and Faramir are learning in class together and all that. So, I think I would give it to Faramir. He seems pretty worldly. He travels a lot. He's both a ruler and he's spent a long time as like a ranger, like a captain of a ranging unit. So I feel like he's been around. He's seen a lot of things. A lot's expected of him, and I just think he'd be good at trivia.
Same.
All right.
Nice.
So that's that. The question now is, do we go for one more, or are we hanging it up?
Let's do
more.
one more.
This is the ultimate matchup, the final of the second session of Who Would Win Fantasy Character Matchup. This is it, the big moment, the final bout. What do they call it in boxing when it's the last match that everyone wants to see?
The last round? Oh, the
title match.
The main event.
The main event.
Right.
Everyone's gathered around, and they're going to witness this right here. This is it, folks. You made it to the end. You didn't want to miss it. What do we got, Dylan? What's the scenario?
Oh, Charles, we've got a good one in store because we have a 3-legged race.
Oh!
And that's a twofer, which means we need 2 teams of
we're getting 4
characters.
We're getting 4 characters brought in here. So the first pair getting their legs tied together. So a 3-legged race, right? For those who don't know, you got 2 people. They stand side by side, and their legs that are next to each other get tied up. And so now they have 3 legs. They have to run into a race. And those first 2 getting tied up together are Dumbledore and Katara. Katara coming back. She ran that 3-legged race with Sauron, right? Against Derek and Jar Jar Binks. And she won.
Yeah.
So she's the returning champion. We have returning champion Katara with her new partner Dumbledore. That's a pretty strong matchup. And let's see who they're racing against. Versus Rey from Star Wars and Ham from the Mistborn series. Oh, that's amazing.
All right. So just about everyone's going to know Rey from Star Wars. Ham is a
Everybody knows Ham from Star Wars.
Everyone, not from Star Wars.
Ham from...
Everyone knows Ham from Mistborn. Ham has gotten way too much time on our podcast already.
I think he hasn't gotten enough.
You could say that. Ham, he is an Allomancer who can use pewter to enhance his strength, and I guess it's also his durability and things like that he can enhance. Very strong person and kind of has a philosopher's spirit, we'll say.
For sure.
Katara from Avatar, The Last Airbender. I think most people know her. She's a waterbender. Dumbledore. You know Dumbledore.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a matchup here, Charles.
We do.
Do you have any sense who you're leaning toward off the start?
Well, it depends on a couple things. Katara's the returning champion, obviously, so you gotta consider that. She's been through this before. She raced with Sauron, the Dark Lord, and she pulled out. Granted, they were going against.
No, that was Poole.
Oh, but didn't they get tied? Oh, it was Yoda. It was Yoda.
She was tied to Yoda.
That's right.
And
okay.
It was that she would basically drag Yoda along while she ran,
Right,
and Jar Jar and Derek's our buddy, not from a book, from real life.
Featured on our travel episodes.
Yes, check that out.
For sure.
He was tied to Jar Jar, and we just thought they'd be tripping.
And that's
all
true.
over
She's
the
the returning champion, but she was competing against possibly the best matchup possible, the clumsiest character in all of fiction, Jar Jar Binks, and Derek from the Friends Talking Fantasy podcast. So, how much of an accomplishment was that really? That she's the returning champ? You have to ask yourself.
Not a ton.
Not a ton.
So
and then
she's tied to a very impressive wizard in Dumbledore.
Sure, but Dumbledore is very old, and is magic in play here? I would say no. I would say he left his wand, with Harry Potter. He's like, hold my wand, Harry. I'm gonna run this race with Katara right now. Got to show Ray and Ham what's up.
It is funny, Charles, to imagine a field day setting where like all these fantasy characters are present and they're all watching this three-legged race, and Dumbledore's telling Harry to hold his wand. It's beautiful, Charles.
It is beautiful. It is kind of fun, and he's like, we got to show up all these, these Star Wars characters. They think they're better than us Harry Potter characters.
Yeah,
it's just not true. So we got to show them what's up. So that's why he's in the race. And then you have Ray and Ham, who, I guess, Ray can use the Force. That might be in play here. She's also, for some people, has the power of being a Mary Sue. So that plot armor, it should be something that is considered, but is controversial. And then you have Ham. Is pewter on the table for Ham? Can he burn pewter during this race and get that physical edge?
Well, Charles, I think we have to commit one way or the other with if Ham gets pewter, then Dumbledore's got his wand. And I think we don't even want to open that can of worms because no one knows what kind of things Dumbledore would be capable of if we gave him that wand. So,
it's true. So no wand, no pewter, no force, no waterbend.
Yeah.
This is purely based on physical ability. I don't know how canon it is, how agile Dumbledore is, but I feel like because he's just so much older, he's got that long flowing white beard, he's just an older guy. I think without magic, he's not running any races, let alone being tied to someone like Katara, who although is very agile, I don't think they're going to be in sync that much. I think Katara's going to just want to sprint. She's like, oh, I'm used to this. I just sprint. But she had Yoda tied to her last time, so she could just kind of drag him along, carry the weight. But Dumbledore is a lot bigger than Yoda is, so I don't think she'll be as successful. I think you got to give it to Ray and Ham, who are like younger, in their prime physically, and have demonstrated feats of strength even without powers, and feats of agility and stuff like that.
Yeah,
although Katara's the returning champ, the crowd favorite. Oh yeah, I see where you're going.
Ray's like, I've never done this before. Like, so we just tie our legs together and then we run. And Ham's like, yeah, that's what we do. And everyone's watching, and then Ray just takes off, and everyone's in awe of how amazing Ray is at running a three-legged race. I mean, she might never have done it before, but she's just got the gift when it comes to three-legged races.
Yeah, she's a natural. She's beating the returning champion Katara like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And then Ham, of course, very strong, powerful athlete, very agile. He'd just be having fun with it, you know? So his family's there cheering him on.
Like one of the first scenes in Star Wars, the episode 7, I guess that is. Like Finn is trying to grab Rey's hand, and she's like,
"That's right.
Stop trying to hold my hand." Do you think that she might run into trouble where, she's like, "Stop trying to tie your foot to my foot," with Ham?
She's like, "I don't need you to win this race." It's like, but it's a 3-legged race. She's like, "I don't need you."
Yeah. It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but there is canon of her running very fast, faster than Poe. Or what's his name? Finn. Faster than Finn. She's probably faster than Poe too, but we know canon, she's faster than Finn. That's canon. So we are to assume that she is pretty darn fast. And I'm leaning towards Rey and Ham for this one in a surprising upset.
Me too. Over the defending
champ for the prize match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to see it, but there we go. We have Rey and Ham, new champions of the 3-legged race over here at the Who Would Win Fantasy Scenario Generator TM.
Charles, you know what could be funny is if the next time we have a 3-legged race come up, if we just
have Rey and Ham
pick 2 new characters, and they go up against the defending champs.
That is
instead
true.
Of generating a whole new one.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll have to remember Rey and Ham are the new champions, and the next time we do this, we'll close out the show with another 3-legged race as is tradition.
That would be fun. Yeah, that would be a fun tradition.
And we just picked another duo to go against them.
Beautiful, Charles.
Beautiful.
Well, history has been made on the FTF podcast today.
Yep. Tradition has been established, and I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well. Well, this was fun, Charles. We always have some good laughs when we get the generator cranked up, and I hope you listeners had a good time as well.
Yeah, I had a great time talking through these wacky, crazy scenarios with my friend Dylan. It's always good to unwind, take a break from our heavy reading schedule, and just talk some fun, spoiler-free, no reading required fantasy,
It's always a great opportunity to do that, playing these Who Would Win. We know it's silly, but we have a good time. That's what it's about.
It's true. Well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get that outro rolling. Thank you, everyone, for listening to yet another very exciting episode of the Friends Talking Fantasy Podcast. This has been your hosts and lifelong friends, Charles and Dylan, saying thank you for tuning in and sticking with us through some of these zanier episodes. We are always fun to record them. We hope you enjoyed listening to them. If you like what you heard, check out our other Who Would Win Fantasy Character Scenario Generator TM. And also, go ahead and reach out to us on social media at the FTF Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and the FTF Podcast with a number 1 at the end for Twitter. You can also shoot us an email at theftfpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts. Send us your fan fiction. Let us know who would win in that chess match between Kelsier and Ellen Venture. Would Goku have the dexterity to control a golf ball in a putt-putt game? Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Why are Rey and Ham partnered up for a 3-legged race? All that and more. Yeah. Let us know.
Give us that backstory.
So much. And, go and start that Hamilton-inspired Lord of the Rings play.
Please do.
And as always, friends, go forth and conquer, friends.